So effective supplier management is a critical component of a company's overall approach to quality management. And here with us this morning to talk a little bit more deeply about the subject is Joby George, a product manager at Sparta Systems. Good morning, Joby.
Hey, Dirk. Hey, Mike. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for joining us this morning.
No problem.
Well,
I'd rather talk about baseball than quality.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, much more fun, much more interesting than what are we talking about? Quality.
Quality.
That's such an exciting
supply
subject.
chain. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What are some of the leading indicators as to why a customer should collaborate with a supplier more?
Sure. So quality is a cornerstone of manufacturing excellence, but often it's very ignored from a technical perspective. Some of these companies are forced to use paper or Excel processes, and sometimes that's very hard to collaborate with your suppliers or partners if you're using paper. For example, 65% of companies are outsourcing. From 1999 to 2011, there's been a 135% increase in product recalls, and over half the issues that a customer faces is because of their supplier chain. So we see the trends, and now the challenge is recognizing that there is a wall between a company and their suppliers and figuring out ways to remove that wall and so they can improve the collaboration, so they can improve product and patient safety. And this is where technology can play a key role in helping collaboration, helping reduce those product recalls and reduce those customer-facing issues.
Now, Joby, I know that your company, Sparta Systems, of course, we work closely with you guys. You deal a lot with medical device companies. So for medical device companies such as that, how would improving collaboration with suppliers affect product safety, by which ultimately that means patient safety?
Mm-hmm. So there are 4 steps that we recognize that can be taken to improve and enable collaboration. Step number 1 is to establish a supplier foundation and broaden supplier assessment. So for example, having a single place where you track all your suppliers, who supplies us, where they're located, what kind of material do they provide, where do those materials come from, just creating that single repository for all the suppliers you work with. Step number 2 is to improve the supplier onboarding and verification process. So when you get a new supplier, what kind of things do you look for? What kind of questionnaires do you send them? What kind of risk assessment do you provide them? What kind of documentation do you track? What kind of certifications, agreements, and so forth? And tracking all of that in one single place for all the suppliers you do business with. Step number 3 is to close the quality loop with your suppliers. So this is where you leverage technology and you connect and integrate suppliers into your quality ecosystem. So it's a collaborative process. You invite them inside your 4 walls, you help collaborate with them more so you can identify some of these key issues earlier on. And step number 4, probably the most critical, is to use real-time performance analytics. So now that you have all your supplier data in one single place, you can trend and analyze data. Who are my best suppliers? Who are my worst suppliers? And for my worst suppliers, what kind of remediation activities am I going to put them on? For my good suppliers, maybe I should give them some financial incentives so we can continue to do business with them. So by following this 4-step process, companies can start this long journey into improved collaborative relationship with their suppliers.
Okay, so when you talk about closing the loop, closing the quality loop with suppliers, and using technology to help you do that, can you maybe give us a brief, example, or maybe a little case study, maybe a company, and you don't have to name names, but just so we kind of bring home what this actually means when we talk about using technology to close the loop between the suppliers and vendors in the entire supply chain.
Sure. So as mentioned earlier, technology is an enabler. So let's go through a very simple example. Let's say there's an issue on your suppliers. They provide raw aluminum to you, and that supplier notices an issue with the batch of aluminum that they want to provide to you. The supplier would log into a very easy-to-use portal. They would identify the issue, the lot number, the date it was manufactured, where it was manufactured from. They would be able to select all of the customers that's impacted by this shipment. Then they would broadcast that message out. So supplier knows an issue, and they send out the message saying, hey, my partners, there's an issue with the raw material that I provided to you last week. Please take notice. And now the manufacturer is notified immediately in real time. So everything's electronic, everything's audit trail, and everything is date time stamped. So now the manufacturer can then take additional actions. Should they stop doing business with the supplier? Should they notify their partners? Should they do a product recall because of an impact of shipment that they received from this supplier? And all of this data is tracked and reflected in the supplier scorecard. So as you can see, by having a closed loop quality process, not just for internal quality, but also for external quality, you can have all that data in one single place that's beyond the four walls. So this is where technology, this is where a platform can enable suppliers and their customers to collaborate. And ultimately, the goal is to improve product and patient safety so that we're all safe.
Now, how much visibility does this require into the supplier's process? And I guess what I'm getting at is, we talked about at the top of this kind of this partnership between the company and its suppliers, its vendors, but that kind of implies almost that you have to have a little insight or a little visibility into what each other is doing. I'm just wondering, how much is that visibility, and is there some resistance to that because maybe suppliers don't want to be that transparent with the people that they're selling to?
Sure. So all the data is obviously confidential. And the way that people do it today is they share emails and faxes, which of course there's no security, there's no privacy around it. So with technology, you can limit and control what your partners see based on the agreements you have with them. So for example, when a supplier broadcasts an issue with your manufacturers, they're only going to agree on sending data A, B, and C and nothing more. And both companies will shake hands and agree to it. So that, again, it's a collaborative process where both participants in this network can determine what data is shared, they're both agreeing to it, and they cannot see anything beyond that.
And in your experience with the companies that you have worked with, is this really showing some bottom line results? This partnership with suppliers as opposed to the old-fashioned kind of customer-vendor relationship?
Well, absolutely. I mean, anytime you improve product safety and avoid costly recalls, there's always an increase in the bottom line. Our mantra is that as soon as you can identify issues early on in the process, before it hits the market, during the manufacturing process, during the testing process, you can always improve your bottom line. Because once an issue hits in the market, now you have recalls to worry about, you have legal issues to worry about, you have brand protection issues to worry about. So the earlier you identify issues with your supplier and your partners, the better it is for everybody.
Okay, well, Joby George of Sparta Systems, product manager at Sparta Systems, thanks for joining us this morning to talk to us a little bit about kind of a new technology in supply chain management. We are going to be doing a webinar with Joby next week. This is the webinar is called Building the Quality Network Through Improved Supplier Management, and that's next Tuesday, April 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'll be hosting, and Joby will be there presenting. So be sure to sign up for that. You should have gotten emails in your inbox about the webinar. If you didn't, if you just click on the article link down below the player page, there will be a link in the article that'll take you out to the registration page for that webinar that you don't want to miss. So building the quality network through improved supplier management, next April 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Joby, thanks a lot.
No problem. Good luck to the Mets.
Let's go Mets. Thank you,
Mets.
Joby.